So I just want to grab a quick video of this. I was about to start giving it that black base, and decided that before I do that, I'll take some footage. So this was honestly, man, I'm kind of in between commissions. I'm kind of waiting for somebody to get back to me, and I guess I can get back to them and speed the process up. But I almost feel like it's some good rest to not be following a specific set of rules or a specific design, and just kind of just do something different. So this is I mean, not different because I've done a bunch of these already. So in the meantime, while I was waiting for this person to get back to me, I had a couple of pieces of foam board, and I said, you know what, let me do a little corner dial and just specifically create it so I can just sell it. So as I had almost finished this, I got contacted by somebody who's on the wait list and was like, hey, you know, just want to know where I'm at, or where you at with your list. You know, I'm still looking for that little corner dial. This was my budget. And I said, you know what, that's perfect. The budget he had was more or less what I wanted to sell this for. So it's his. So it's no longer for sale. It is now, it belongs to someone right now. So I came back and did a few extra things before. I'm about to again just give it that that base color. So, you know, nothing groundbreaking. The only thing I will say with this one is I think this one probably has the most amount of debris on the ground from all the other ones that I've made. All the other ones that I've made, I've specifically set a kind of a number in my head and said, you know, 4 or 5 bricks, 2 or 3 pieces of wood, and boom, and we're good. So with this one, I decided to just do a little more, you know, and went a little more with some more rubble, mixed some brick with concrete, and again, I think it's real cool when you're able to kind of see the you know, the color contrast, you know, from, you know, this will be a gray and this will be a different shade of gray, then this is kind of that brick red, and it'll have some highlights and so forth. And then with the cracks, you know, again, just you know, trying to master cracks on a wall. You know, I look at reference pictures sometimes, and I always try to not go outside the box too much. I don't want to make, you know, a million cracks or what have you. So what I try to do is just do some deeper ones and then some lighter ones, and it'll all come out at the end when you put that dry brush on. You know, this is going to have a vent, so I'm going to install a vent here after everything is said and done. One of the things I like to do with these little ones is the higher end, because, you know, again, there's a price range for these. So if you have, you know, if your budget is at the minimum in terms of the price list, then I won't do as many details. Obviously, I'll spend less time on it because it's time more than anything. Your budget's a little higher, then I'll do a little more detail and so forth. So with this one, I definitely like the look of, you know, brick, then the concrete, and again, just that color contrast just in that little corner. You know, you look at it from an angle and it looks really good. You know, and I've done that before, and I definitely enjoy doing that. You know, so again, you're just gonna get a little bit of a, you know, gray peeping through that brick wall, or right behind that brick wall. Alright, man, so I guess the next segment will be it painted. I'm gonna give it the black base right now, let that dry, and I'm actually hoping to finish most of this by today. My deadline to ship is Monday, so whatever I don't finish today, I'll finish tomorrow at home, and then pack it up, ship it out. And I think I had a couple extra pieces, so I am gonna start another one again, probably just for the same reasons, to say, hey, who's interested, and see where it goes from there. Bye, y'all. So I was contacted a few weeks ago, actually, and somebody was interested in doing a crack house that appeared in a Punisher comic book. So, you know, that was the first thing I got as an email. And obviously, I was like, dude, you gotta be a little more specific, because a crack house can be just any torn up type, you know,
type house, and I'm pretty sure he had a vision in mind, so he sent me this picture. So the cool thing about it is I definitely it kind of has that element with the bricks in the back and the cracked wall. So when he hit me up, I started brainstorming and figured that I'd do something that has definitely my twist, but more specifically with what he wants. So what I started to create is this, which actually it's a good thing that it's easier. Well, the difficult part is the floor, because it is going to be a hardwood floor. The easier part is this. So what I did here, and I just wanted to show this real quick as I started the process for this diorama. Got some paper that, I had some paper actually that I had just bought. I saw I liked the texture of it and figured I can use it at some point. And then when this guy hit me up talking about, crack house diorama, and showed me the picture, I had the perfect paper for it. So what I did here is actually I kind of laid out the paper first and foremost. You know what? I'll turn this around so we get a better look at it. And yeah, so basically, what we have here is a situation where you're able to kind of rock out a diorama and not carve as much, because you're using this this paper, which I'm hoping that you could tell the texture of the paper. It's kind of a real cool texture, so I think it lends well to this dial. And yeah, so what I did is I have two pieces of this paper, so I laid them out and I just started kind of slicing away with the blade, and then cut out a little section here, a little section there, and then took the piece of paper off and just carved it out just that little bit. Didn't have to carve out the whole thing because it was going to be covered by this paper. I have a door frame here that I'm going to use, and that'll kind of wrap up those two walls. So basically, this is kind of the gist of it. There is going to be some molding, so I have these two styles. I'm not sure which style I'm going to use yet. This was just left over from the last dial, a big one, and this is from one of my older dials, so I'm not sure which one I'm going to use yet. And actually, I use this one for the church as well. So we're going to have some molding there. Molding is going to be white. Frame is going to be white. I'm not sure what the door color is going to be yet. This is going to stay that color. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back with a Sharpie and just draw a bunch of cracks and give it that effect that I just showed a few seconds ago, where it's kind of cracks, the cracks on the wall. So yeah, so this is definitely not a new technique. I learned this technique actually from AJ. One of the first, actually the very, very first wall I ever did was similar to this. But instead of using paper, I had project foam board, and kind of tried it, and it came out pretty bad. It came out pretty bad. But I've learned a lot since then. And I'm pretty sure if I try to do that first wall again, I do it way better. Just because I have more patience now, more experience with it. Yeah, man. So this is this is what it's gonna look like. I'm about to glue the paper down. One of the things that I did do is I painted the border of this a little bit in black, because what I've noticed with paper sometimes is, as much as you try to size it out and then you glue it on, and if you shift it a little bit to the right, to the left, I just didn't want any pink to show, so I made sure that I got enough of it that it'll kind of hide that if it shifts a little bit, because I do need to put weight on top of it so it can stick nice and firm. So when you put weight on it, it could shift a little bit. So I wanted to make sure that I got that little bit of inside and black, so that if it does move, it'll be okay. Alright, so the next video will be much further along, with hopefully the hardwood floor carved out, and at least with that base black. Alright, y'all, peace. A couple of videos ago, I did like a quick little tutorial on that. Not even a tutorial, but just kind of how I went about doing that shanty wooden wall. And then somebody asked about, on an older video, somebody was just like, hey, you know, do you have anything on a hardwood floor? Which is pretty much, you know, kind of the same deal. Just a few more details on the hardwood floor. So I just wanted to kind of take a few minutes and just kind of give you guys an idea of how I go about it. And, you know, when it comes to doing the hardwood floors, how I approach it. So one of the first things that I like to do is I like to kind of go through and put these little, you know, these little pieces here all over I take that back. I cut them out. Obviously, I measure them out. So my hardwood floors are pretty much the same size as my bricks, which is 1/2 inch. And then what I do is I kind of go maybe every 4 inches, you know, in terms of the wooden boards that go down on a hardwood, you know, floor. And then the second step is just creating these little tiny, I don't even know what they're really called, man. You know, you find them inside of the trees. Whenever you chop a tree, you'll always see this little section here. So what I usually do is I lay these out first, and then once I lay those out first, I kind of work around them. So you know, in this case, what I'll do is I kind of go around it one time, you know, sometimes twice, and then once that's kind of set, I just kind of flow with it. You know, no rhyme or reason, man. Just you know, what I did the first time is I just took some, I googled wood patterns, and I just kind of followed some patterns loosely, and then from there you just kind of start developing your own, you know, your own style or your own flow. So that's what I generally try to do, man. I just don't, you know, there's not any, you know, real rocket science behind it, man. It's just about, you know, getting creative and just giving it some detail, because I think almost anything, you know, once you give it a little bit of detail, people can tell. You can see that there was effort put in there. So I think that's it more than anything, is giving us some detail, but not exaggerating. I mean, obviously, what I try to do is I try to say to myself that I'm not going to do more than 5 lines. I try to stay around 4. So I'm not sure how good you can see it here, but, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4. Same deal here. You know, you have 1, 2, 3, 4. Because once you start getting to 5 and or 6, it starts getting a little too jumbled up or whatever. So, you know, my style in any art form is always clean. You know, I'm always looking for that kind of that clean look. So basically, once I'm done carving it out, you know, if you stay on it and you just work on it with no interruptions, I say that a piece like this, which is 12 by 12, will probably take me about an hour or so, 45 minutes to an hour, if I just kind of stay on. I mean, most of my projects I don't stay on it that long. I'll do, you know, a little bit, then I'll stop and I'll get on something else. But, you know, once that's done, you know, my technique is the pencil technique. So I kind of take the pencil, and actually, you know what I've noticed is that it's better to do do these first. And the reason that is because whenever I've done the lines first and then come back and do these, I dent the line so it doesn't look straight anymore. It'll have like a little bit of a dent on it. So what I've been doing lately is just kind of going back and doing these first and foremost. Then after everything is said and done, I'll kind of do the line, and then at the end, it looks like a hardwood floor. You know, once you paint it, give it that initial cover, which is that black, and then what I'll do is I'll come back with a brown, and then I'll come back with a lighter shade of brown, and it'll be a really, really light dry brush, and hopefully it'll kind of give it that dry or that hardwood floor look. So yes, that's pretty much how I approach it. I mean, it's time consuming. It's, again, it can take up to an hour if you just do it straight for a piece that's pretty small. But I think it's a good look, and I think it's a better look than buying a hardwood floor, or going to the hobby store and getting those first of all, they're pretty expensive, but secondly, I just feel it's kind of it just gives it a different look, man. It does. I mean, it gives it different texture. It's engraved, as opposed to just having something that's kind of flat. And a lot of times you may not be able to tell in the pictures. I mean, some of the pictures I take you can tell, but everybody's different. So this is how I go about my hardwood floor. So this is obviously the floor of this Punisher crack house deal. And so just wanted to give a couple minutes to this, and hopefully those who asked have a better idea. And if you have any other questions, please feel free to hit me up, and I can discuss it with you further. All right, peace. It seems like I'm always fooled by what I see on the screen of this man. What do they even call these days? We used to call them camcorders. I don't know what they're called these days, but it always looks different to me on this screen. And then when I put it on YouTube, when I upload it to YouTube, it looks a lot better. And I know it's HD, but again, light is light, and the light is not that great today. I generally like to bring these dials to my jaw for kind of the final recording process, because I love the lighting here. We have let's see if you can see it. We have that skylight type deal, and some decent lighting, and but it's raining outside today. It's a rainy day in Boston, so the lighting isn't that great. So I kind of shifted it over so it can kind of just be under that light. So I don't know how good you're gonna be able to see the details, but this was actually just picked up a couple of pieces that I had left over, and just started making this diorama. Honestly, was just literally making it to finish it and just put it up for sale. A lot of people were always asking for dioramas, and so I figured, why make it a commission process? Like, check it out. You like this? Buy it. So that was kind of the purpose of this. And then somebody hit me up on Facebook, or excuse me, on via email, who had wanted something similar a while back, and I told him I'd get back to him, as I had a list and so forth. So he got me right at the perfect moment, because I had just finished carving this out. I hadn't even started painting, and I said, hey, listen, I have this if you want it, and showed him kind of the raw pink version, and he said, definitely, I'll take it. Another panel piece here, and again, this is just packaging from, I don't even know from where. I just find these little inserts that come inside boxes and what have you, so I kind of made it a panel. I didn't put, normally you would kind of see that, where the electricity is going into that pole or what have you. I didn't put it here for a couple of reasons. The ones that I had, the paint kept chipping on them, and I tried different process, and it was just the straws that I had were very cheap. They weren't good at all. So I decided to not put it in. I mean, it's a destroyed type corner anyway, so that could have just been easily taken by some thug who wanted to beat somebody across the head with it. I don't know. Let's just play it that way. So yeah, so that was that. But yeah, man, nothing outside the box, nothing outside of my box. Some stuff that I've generally done. I definitely did a more detail than normal in terms of more bricks on the ground, and the cracks were definitely, I feel like I spent a little more time on them, and it's that process of, as you go through it, you want to keep improving. So I always like when the corners of the dials come out like this, where you see some cement and some brick. So that's always cool. So this was that, and then this is another. This is the Punisher crack house dial that somebody had actually commissioned me to make. I didn't even get back to them to tell him I was going to start. I just started it. So it very well could fall through, and he could say, hey, listen, I can't do it right now. And so then I'll probably just sell this to the person who, whoever's interested. I finished the hardwood floor last night. Definitely like how this hardwood floor came out. One of the things that I did differently is I put kind of stabbed some holes in this, so it makes it look like it makes it look like nails, instead of actually putting any of the pins or what have you, or paint, giving it a little silver
dot as I would generally do. That kind of gives it a different feel. So I'm done with that, and now I'm working on some cracks using markers instead of the normal, the normal technique of putting the cracks on the foam. Just because we used, I can call this. It could be wallpaper. It could just be a painted wall with the brick in the background that's starting to the wall starting to break apart. So you're starting to see the brick. So this is where I am so far. I should be done with it, tomorrow or so, and then the trek continues. So yeah, man. Again, I've already kind of spoken a little bit about the process. This is just paper, and didn't paint behind here, so it saved me paint and time, and was only carved this section. I actually added this brick under here, but I added these, this corner just to give it a little more, paint. I definitely wanted to make sure I had more paint, so I was able to add that, and I thought it came out pretty good. I still have to add a doorknob here, and again, just a couple other, stain the wall a little bit more. I did some airbrushing, but I want to do some dry brushing as well, and I want to actually do some splatter. Not sure if it's going to be kind of blood splatter, or I'm not sure yet, but I'll figure something out. I'm using three different markers for this. A regular, fine point Sharpie, and then I have some design markers that they level them off in 0.1, 0.3, 0.5, 0.7, I believe, and that I'm using the 0.3 for those skinnier lines, skinnier cracks. So that's kind of been cool, and I'll just keep chipping away at it, and so far I like how it's coming out. All right, y'all. Peace. So I believe the last shot that I took of this dial was just the walls, or the paper glued onto the foam board. So I added this window. I mean, it's cool because these boards are actually from one of my first dials ever. So I reused them for this diorama, because that one got destroyed. So just took some scrap parts and reused it for another dial, and it works perfectly. Actually grooved in some of the lines because I hadn't done that originally. So real quick, because I think this video is already over 20 minutes long when I started recording this last segment, and I want to try to keep it under 25, as I'm trying to keep most of my videos in the 15 to 20 minute range, but this didn't achieve it, or this video didn't achieve that, so I'm going to be closer to the 25 minute mark. But yeah, what I did is a while ago, actually, I bought just a bottle. It was just an empty bottle, and I got it at the art store, and what I did is put a little bit of black paint, use water with it, and I wanted to see what kind of effect, and it's kind of that light misty spray, wanted to see what kind of effect it would have on the foam board, and it didn't have that great of an effect. I didn't really like it, so I put this away for a while. But working with paper is a little bit different, so I said, let me see if it'll give it any kind of effect, and it actually gave it a different effect than the airbrush, which is a lighter mist, and they gave it like a darker spray. So I definitely liked how that looked. Then I went into the brick with that rusty color that I use a lot, that I tend to use a lot with the brick, just because I think it kind of gives it a kind of a cool look to have that lighter color shining through the brick, which makes the brick old and so forth. And then for the paint splatter, so at one point I'm done and it just looks like a regular room. I mean, there's cracks on the wall, but it's supposed to look really nasty. It's supposed to be a crack house. So what I did is I used a little trick where I took a straw, basically put it inside of a, just kind of put it inside there, and then kind of dipped it in, and then put my finger over it, pulled it out, and then what I do is I blow into the straw, and then we'll give it that effect. So I did that a couple times throughout, and hit some on the wall, so it just gives it the effect of, some kids or whatever, somebody took a gallon of paint, just
smashed it, and there's paint all over the place and dirt and you know, cigarette box that's permanent, and some paper, yellow paper, white paper. So I wanted to give it that kind of that dirty effect, so then I did that, and then came back with a couple more sprays so that the paint wouldn't look as new. And pretty much this one's a wrap. You know, it's one of those jobs where it was kind of easy on the walls because it was mostly paper, and I just had to carve a little bit on the inside. But the floor definitely, I put a lot of work into the hardwood floors, and actually just kind of used that technique where I started stabbing instead of using, you know, the nails. Just stab the hole in there to make it look like the nails just nailed in pretty deep. But I like how the floor came out. And you know what, to be honest with you, this is one of those dioramas where I think at the end of it, I wish I wasn't selling it. You know what I mean? But it's a commission, so it has to go. But one of the few commissions that I regret, you know, I'll regret selling just because I like how it came out. Just put some, you know, some empty beer bottles and Wolverine to kind of show the effect of, you know, him being drunk in that environment. Yeah, so another fun project that actually wasn't even due until a week from tonight. So way ahead of schedule on this one. And I'll just go on to the next one and go from there. So, yeah, let me get some close-ups, and you can see on the wall where I started using the skinnier black pen versus some of the, you know, the thicker, and it definitely gave it a good effect, I think. And, you know, it just takes a little bit of creativity on creating them cracks and so forth, and obviously getting inspired by other people's work and seeing how they do their cracks and trying to kind of you know, develop your own style, not just the crack but the look of it. You know, like in this case, for example, I took the rock and I smashed it, so that's kind of indented, so I just kind of made it, worked off of that, and I did that with a lot of the indentations throughout, and that's definitely something that, you know, it comes out on camera, I think, but it definitely comes, you know, when you see in the face, you know, in front of your face, or with your own eyes, you can kind of see the effect that I was going for. So yeah, man, this is it. It's done. It's being shipped off to, I believe this one's going to Texas. That's what I think. I'm sure. All right, y'all. Peace.